Okay, welcome along to this morning's class. Great to be back here again. This is our Staying Well While Staying Home series, a collaboration between Siel, Bleu Ireland and the Irish Cancer Society, and myself, Shane, bringing the session again today. So a couple of little things before we begin. I would always say just that you have a good, strong chair that you can use. I will lead most of the exercises in standing, but you can perform anything from a seated position. And if we have a couple of weights, that can be tins, bottles that we can use. And also, I'd always suggest just having a bottle of water open, and just out a shot, I have a window open, bringing me in a little bit of air as well. In terms of the movements, everyone is coming at this from a different point, as I always say, whether maybe just getting back into exercise is very new or something you have been doing for a long time in terms of maybe recovery. So just building up at your own pace. There's no pressure. And first and foremost, if a movement causes any kind of pain, just to simply leave that exercise out, change it, take weight out, perform it seated instead of standing. So don't put yourself through anything that causes any pain. But overall, we hope to get a good challenge and a good workout here. So I'm just going to finally just make sure this is plugged in. So final thing I'll say as well, just before we begin, in the event that maybe if the stream were to cut for any reason, and sometimes technology we will have that issue, I will simply just set up a new stream through our YouTube page. So, but touch wood, that won't happen. So let's get warmed up, get active, and just get ourselves opened up and gradually bring that heart rate up before we move into our more active and challenging work. So somewhere I always like to start with is just the shoulders, just typically an area that can be a little bit tight and stiff. So I'm just going to start off rolling my shoulders back. Hopefully it's a nice morning wherever you are. Pretty bad outside where I am here in Dublin. It's not too nice out, so but that does where the workout becomes all the more important if we maybe can't get out, if it is pretty bad out. So next I'll start rolling the shoulders forward in circles. Again, just getting any movement at all here, rolling my shoulders forward. Okay, next what I'll do is just bringing my two hands together and just lightly raising the arms in front. So just slowly, gradually building up. My hands are together and my arms are straight and just raising in front. What I'll do next, while keeping those hands together, I'm going to bring them up to my chest and just lightly push forward out from chest. So just again, straight in front, pushing away. Just getting a little connection with my chest as I push straight in front. Now, keeping those hands together still, just going to lift them up. Elbows are raised. I want to rotate my body to the right and then over to the left. And as much as I can, I want to separate my upper body from the hips. So I don't want my hips to move too much here. Rather, I want the movement through the upper body. My head lightly going with the movement as I go right to left. Getting a nice stretch through the back and just opening up. Always nice to have some kind of a rotational movement in the warm-up. And we'll go once more in each direction. Okay, now I want you to keep your hands together. Keep the elbows elevated. And what I want to do is just begin opening the feet out one at a time. So open the right leg, open the left leg, and now my upper body is fixed. So where previously we moved the upper body, keeping the hips in a fixed position, now we move through the hips, keeping the upper body out of the movement. So just nice, that little separation, breaking down different body parts in this way. One or two more. And back down, okay? From there, I might just hold on to the chair and I'll just start bringing those knees up, switching on the hips. We'll move shortly into our aerobic work, so I always want to just kind of check out those hips, that I can get a little bit of movement, and just opening everything up. I'm just lightly bringing those knees up. I'm going to turn fully to my chair and just start lightly kicking the heels behind. Just curling the legs back. And then again, if I just return, lifting the knees up, getting a little bit of height. And next, what I'll do is I'll just start tapping the heels out in front. Again, I know the feet might be just a little bit out of shot there, so with that, but just pointing the toes up towards the ceiling and lightly tapping those heels into the floor. Just keeping yourself moving here. Nice and light, tapping the heels out. Again, even as I talk there, you can hear just a little bit of that I'm active and moving. Nothing is too difficult at this point, but just that I am starting to warm up and loosen out. And I might just turn to face my chair and I'll start lightly stretching the legs back. And as you can see, just pointing my toes into the floor here. So stretch the legs back one at a time. And you're just pointing those toes into the floor. Just again, stretching out, opening up from the hips, and just getting that nice movement down through the feet as well. And one. Okay, so that is our warm-up completed there, but in a sense, a continuation of our warm-up here, which is our aerobic work, which will start kind of slowly and build up. The main purpose here, as I always say, is that you keep yourself active and moving, and kind of equate it to the intensity of a brisk walk. So with this work, you're moving, you're active, and you feel, and you'll notice that you might have a little pant as you talk, for example, so that you really feel you're active and moving. And as ever, I try and tune this in, that it's challenging and interesting. So there's an element of balance and coordination within this aerobic work. I will lead this work standing. If you prefer, you can mimic those same movements in a seated position. Nothing changes, just to perform the same action from a seated position. So I'm going to set the clock up here. And we will begin now. The way I want to do this one, I might just demonstrate from the side first. I would suggest have your chair alongside you just to guide you here, but I'm just going to show you from a side-on position first. I take a step back with my right foot. I'm going to hold my wall in this case. Arm is out. Arm. Lift my right knee and press the arm down. And then lightly step back. So quite an active dynamic movement. Start slow, get a feel for this action. But you'll just see how I lightly step back and then lift the knee forward. As I lift that knee up, I push my arm down. So the movement is through the right side of my body. My left hand and leg are just keeping me strong and stable through the movement. If you're in a seated position, you can go for the same action without the step back, just simply lifting the knee, pushing the arm down. But again, this is the first round. Just get a feel and a kind of a sense of all of these movements. And down. Okay, I'm going to switch sides. So if you're using that chair, just know that you're going to have that chair to the right. But again, just this first round, I want to show you the movement from the side. So my left foot is back now. My left arm is out. And I begin. I lift my left knee up, pressing the arm down at the same time. And then I lightly step back. Nothing is too dramatic in the ranges of movement. Just a very controlled step back and then lifting the knee up. Again, knee is lifting up and just lightly stepping back, pushing the arm down at the same time. So balance, coordination here, but in a very controlled range. I'm not going to lift the knee so high that I feel uncomfortable, and I won't step so far back that I feel uncomfortable. Last couple of seconds. And down, okay? Third, final action is simply to march. Just check in. Skipping back and forward. Okay, check that out. Well, we'll just go straight into that third movement, which is marching here. I'll just keep an eye on that, and I'll just check my phone in a second now if anything has come through there. But just want you to march for this third final action or exercise. Hopefully the stream is okay there. Sorry if that's breaking up a little bit, Mary. It seems to be coming through okay from my end, but hopefully it's not skipping forward and back or anything there. Sometimes maybe it will just glitch and pause a bit, but hopefully it comes back and it's working okay there. And sorry if it is a bit, if the stream is poor today. I'm just marching on this third final movement. Okay, so they are the three movements. I will move back, repeating the same actions for a second round and then a third round. So again, chairs to my side, my right foot is back, right arm is out. Remember, I'll drive the knee up, push the arm down. Now maybe support isn't needed, and that's fine. I just built up using a little support on the first round, but if you feel strong and balanced, performing the movement without assistance, that's fine. Or if you just need to hold on for that bit of support. So again, I take a light step back and then lifting the knee up and pressing the arm down. And again, I now have a feel of the movement, so I'm working at a nice moderate pace where I feel a little bit of a challenge. So just pressing the arm down and lifting the knee up. And switch. I'll move the chair across to the opposite side. Okay. And now the action will be pressing left arm, lifting left knee. So small step back with left foot, lift the left knee, press the arm down. Again, if you need support, hold on to that chair, or if you don't, that's fine. And of course, seated position, same action, but just lifting knee, pressing down without the step back. Again, there's that very controlled, subtle shift of weight, lightly stepping back, and then driving knee up and forward. Pressing the arm down at the same time. And say this second round, I'm moving with a little bit more intent. I have a feel for the movements, I'm comfortable, and I'm strong and I'm balanced as I perform the movement. So I'm working a little bit harder through this second round. Third movement, again, straightforward march, but at a nice intensity. So we'll just move straight in. Just marching and keeping the arms flowing forward and back nice and light. I always say for this march, think if you were walking down the street, you wouldn't even notice or recognize if a friend saw you because you're at a brisk pace with a little bit of intent. So that you're kind of in your own bubble, marching at a nice, moderate pace here. That you're giving yourself a good challenge and I feel you're active and working hard at this point. And that might mean a light sweat, a little bit red, and a little bit out of puff maybe as you talk. But no way in any pain, not pumping sweat or in any way you're really uncomfortable. Right. 1/3 final round of movement. So again, I will just bring my chair back to my left. And I'll take a small step back with my right foot and my right arm is out. I'll press my right arm down as I lift my knee up and forward. Again, if I feel strong and balanced, I won't need that support, so that's okay. Or just continuing to hold on if you need that just to guide you along and ensure that you feel comfortable. Again, pressing the arm down, lifting the knee up and forward. Last couple of seconds. And switch. So I bring the chair across. It's just there to have as a little bit of support. Again, I take a step back with my left foot, with my left arm out. I press the arm down and lift the knee up and forward. Again, I feel strong, I feel balanced. I can continue without support. Again, continue holding the chair if you need. And from your seated position, lift the knee, press the arm down to that one side. Again, we're just strong through the right side of my body here and active and moving through the opposite side. So one side is keeping you strong and balanced. The other side is active and moving. Again, at a pace that you are comfortable with. It's not about matching me exact. It's about going at a pace that's right for you, but where you're getting a good challenge and you feel you're active and moving here. Third, final action, march. So very simple, straight in. Just get the legs moving and let the arms lightly flow forward and back as well. And just keep the body moving here. So maybe on the first two, there is, as I say, that element of balance, coordination, and just having to think a bit. Whereas your march, just kind of without thinking in a way, just moving at a nice moderate pace. Trying not to kind of go slow and ambling here, but moving with a little bit of pace and intensity. You feel, as I say, that you're active and getting a good challenge. Standing, seated, just moving with that same purpose. And rest. Okay, so that is our aerobic block of work done. Just 10 minutes, over 10 minutes of just moving and staying active there, and also working that element of balance as well, depending on what variation of that you may have performed. So take a drink of water, just have a couple of seconds, a little rest, sit down if you need, even just rest your body against the back of the chair. And we will now move in to our strength block of work. So I'll just set my timer up here. And we have 5 movements, which we will perform 3 rounds of. We're going to work the shoulders, the arms, and different parts of our legs today. So touch wood, hopefully everything is okay with the stream. I know sometimes just the internets will go, but it seems to be okay from my end, as they say, but hopefully it's okay at your end, Mary, or it comes back. Or if there's any issues, maybe we can just play it back later in the day as well. So I'm going to move in. I'm going to show our exercises here. The first movement, we'll grab our 2 weights. That can be tins, bottles, if you don't have 2 physical dumbbells. Standing or seated, the instruction of this movement is the same, so nothing will change in that regard. So all I want you to do is hold your 2 weights, standing in a nice upright position, just that I'm not hunched at all. So nice and upright, holding the 2 weights. It's going to sink in with my clock here. So I will begin in 3, 2, and 1. I lift the weights out to my side, shoulder height, and then I'll slowly lower back down. Out to shoulder height, pause, slowly lower back down. I like to breathe out as I raise the weights up, and I like to inhale as I lower it back down. Control is something I always like in this movement, that I can pause at the top of the movement and slowly lower the weights back down. Biggest adaptation I could do is if I lift one arm at a time, if you're finding lifting the 2 together really tough. No problem, Mary, no problem. No, honestly, I know it can be so difficult sometimes with internet and connections, you just never know. But I'm delighted to hear that's working for you okay now. Just lift out and a little pause at the top. And sometimes it's the simplest little things, I think, just refreshing a page and that. But yeah, you can just never be sure with internets. Again, just lift out and pause. And back down. Drop the weights down. This next exercise, just want to give ideas. I'll do a lot of squats, and we have a squat variation today. But there is other ways we can strengthen the thigh, this big strong leg, or part muscle in our leg. What I want to do is I'm going to lead with a standing leg extension. Very simple. Your seated adaptation will be to extend the leg out, 1, 2, and back down. So just extending the leg out in a seated position is an option. But I will lead with is a standing variation. Again, you can hold on to your chair by your side. I'm just going to use my wall as a bit of support just to give you the best angle of the movement. Maybe I can use the chair. Maybe I can fit it in. I'm actually all right. So just bring that down just a touch. Okay, so you can hold your chair to your side like this. What I want you to do is lift your right knee in front, just to a height that's comfortable. Extend the leg out and just lightly lower the foot down. Lift and extend again. So every time, lift the knee up to a height that's comfortable and then just straighten the leg out. Lightly tap the toes back to the floor and just reset into the next rep. The reason I'll just briefly allow that foot to drop down to the floor is just to take some of that tension away. I find with this movement, if you keep that foot elevated here throughout, it just gets very tiring if I stay like this. So I'll just briefly come down and then back up. Now I don't want to spend too long down resting on the floor. Just lightly tap down, straight back up and extend. Another thing I'll think about here is just separating the movement. Try not to rush it all together. 2 actions, knee up, then extend. Knee up, extend. So just break it down. And I'm feeling the thigh of my leg. So really active here as I perform this action and quite tiring. Back down. Maybe just shake the legs out. That is a different way of coming at that thigh from just our squat. A nice option, another thing to have in your kind of exercise armory, just another exercise. So let's set up. Holding on to the chair, I've just turned side. Left leg will be active. So I'll begin. I lift my left knee in front, comfortable height, and then extend the leg out. Lightly tap to the floor. Knee up, extend. So as I said, I'm in no rush with this movement. Just separate the actions, lift, then extend. Again, lift, extend. And you'll just find if you were to keep the knee in this position, that leg will just kind of tire out very quickly. So just taking that second or two to briefly tap the foot down and reset. Upper body stays nice and straight. So what could happen again here is as I tire, maybe I start to lean back. So just keeping that body strong. All of the work through my leg here. Even that standing leg, which you might think isn't doing anything, it is keeping me strong. It's active. It might feel a little bit tired here as well. Again, the more tired you feel through this one, the longer of a pause you might need to take at the bottom, and that's no problem. Knee up, extend, working through that thigh, and rest. Okay, so be glad to give the legs a little bit of a break after that one. We're going to take hold of our 2 weights. We're going to work an arm curl variation. And again, my instruction for standing and seated is the same. It's the same execution of the movement. Just 1 case standing and sitting. So I want you to hold the weights by your side. I want to lift the weights up towards shoulders and back down. Turn the palm of the hand forward, curl up and back down. So I'll just change my hand position every time I curl the weights up. So with 1, my palms are in by my side. and then my palms turn forward. But the same execution of curling the weight in a nice straight line up and down, just changing the hand position every time. So we come from two slightly different angles every time, but in each case working the arm on each side. Again, things I like to think about are breathing out as I curl weight up. I like to keep the angle nice and straight. Often as we tire, we might drift in with the weight, but we keep the angle as straight as we can. And just keeping all of the work through the arms. Once more of each. And back down. Let the weights down again. One more exercise here. This is a combination movement. This is a squat, a chair supported squat, i.e. your chair is going to be in front, combined with a heel raise. Just going to adjust that camera ever so slightly again, just to give the best angle here. So what I'll say before the clock starts, if you prefer and do not like this action, what I would recommend is just to perform a seated heel raise. My feet about hip width and lifting your heels straight up off the floor. That is your seated variation. Standing, there's a little bit more to it. And what I'm going to do is hold on to the back of my chair. Just open the feet up, maybe just a little bit wider than hip width now. So a little nice wide stance with the feet, soft knees. I'm going to squat down as far as comfortable, stand up, and then lift my heels. So again, lightly squat down, stand up, lift the heels. So there's just that little bit of separation. What's great about this position is you can really just work in a range that feels right. If this is as far as you want to squat, that's fine. Or if you are comfortable going a little bit lower, that's fine as well. You can work in a range that feels good to you, supported and assisted by your chair here. And then adding in our heel raise as we've stood up and set the position. I keep my back straight. Just careful that you're not rounding as you lower down. So drop down from the hips, moving down and back, and then standing up tall once we've stood up straight. I'll go one more time. Just lightly squat down as far as comfortable. Stand up, lift the heels, and rest. Okay, that is your first round of the circuit finished. Take a breather. Drink of water, catch your breath. Okay, so let's set this up again. So what I'll say before we start our second round, I'll always just ask myself, how did that feel? Was there a movement there that was painful or sore? In which case, just change that exercise. If there was something there you didn't like, maybe that last movement, and you just wanted to perform the heel raises, for example, make that little change, or seated instead of standing. There's no right or wrong. Everyone is different. Everyone is different, maybe injuries or areas that kind of aggravate. So just whatever feels right for you is the main thing. If everything felt okay, we're going to go back into a second round of that circuit. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll take our two weights. Again, I want to stand up in a nice upright position. Whether seated or standing, nice and upright, that we're not hunched. I'm holding my two weights, and we'll just sink in with the clock here. So in 3, 2, 1, first exercise, lateral raise. So again, lift the weights out to a height no higher than shoulder level. Slowly lower back down. Again, I'll breathe out as I raise the weights up, and just inhale as I lower back down. Simplest change I can make if I'm losing a little bit of power or feel tired in this one would just be to drop one arm at a time and just continue to alternate. I'll often as well say I'm not too strict. I'll talk about shoulder height. The idea just being that we don't push beyond that level. We don't want to push any higher, but you might find you have to stop a little bit before that. So that's fine. Doesn't mean you have to reach shoulder height, just towards that position. Breathing out as I raise. Shoulders really active here. And back down. Okay, drop the weights. We're going to go back to that standing leg extension. A slightly different one today. I think we may have tried this weeks and weeks ago back at the start. So it's been a while. I'm going to hold on to the chair with my left hand. I'm going to set my position nice and straight. And in 3, 2, 1, I lift my right knee, extend the leg, and then just lightly tap down. Lift the knee, and then extend. Again, just break it down always. Lift the knee first, and then straighten the leg, just so you're not kind of combining it into one really quick action. Keep a little bit of control. And I'm just saying, lift that knee as high as comfortable. So it doesn't matter if maybe someone is here and some of us are a little bit lower, but just to a height that feels right, where you're feeling that leg active as you extend. I'm feeling that thigh of my leg very active here. Again, as you might get very tired on this one, it might just fatigue that you feel you're going to need a little breather on this one. I would suggest just pausing for longer at the bottom here and then set into the next one. Might get 1 or 2 more here. And back down. Again, I'll just shake the legs out. Might feel a little burn along the leg after one like that. So just lightly shake the legs out. Just lightly move on the spot. Okay, so I have a little bit of time, just reset. I'm going to change the angle now. So now holding on to the chair with my right hand and my left leg will be active. Starting in a couple of seconds now. So let's begin. Left knee lift, straighten the leg out and return back to floor. Up and extend. Just continue to break it down like that. Knee lifts up, extend out in front. Again, that upper body should stay nice and strong, so just mindful if you felt you were leaning back or maybe hunching forward. Upper body stays straight. All the work through that leg. Hip is active and helping here as well, but trying to get a little connection through that leg here. And as I say, you might feel that standing leg as well. It might start to feel a little tired in this one too. And this is one of those, in this case, I would always suggest just holding onto the chair or your wall, something just to help us with balance. There's enough challenge in this movement, and it's worth just having that something to hold on to, something firm and stable. It's really just putting as much work and tension through that leg as we comfortably can. And rest. Okay, shake the legs out. Definitely feel that one in the legs. Going to work through the arms next. So we'll grab our 2-way. Dumbbells here. About 10 seconds and we'll start our next movement. I'm going to hold the weights by my side first, standing or seated, the same movement, instruction. Let's begin. Lift the weights up to your shoulders, back down, palms forward, and the same action again. So just twist the position every time, curling up in a nice straight line. We're just changing the angle that I curl up from every time. Breathing out as I raise up. Inhale as I return the weights back down. Again, just a nice, we've performed many different arm curls. And often I think just nice to vary it up a little bit, just adding little challenges like this, combining the two different angles into one exercise, just to ensure that you kind of just essentially keeping us on our toes, that there's always challenge and maybe just a slightly different stimulus with the exercises. Just twist, rotate, and curl up. Last couple of seconds here. And one last. And back down. I'm going to rest my 2 weights down again. Remember our squat and heel raise combination. If you found that one difficult, you might like to just work through the heel lift, just work through the squat, or your seated option is there, of a seated heel raise. What I'm going to do is hold the chair, feet maybe just a little bit wider than hip width here. I'm going to lightly squat down as far as comfortable, stand up tall, and then lift my heels up. Squat down, stand up, lift the heels. So almost in a sense, 3 actions here. Just squat down into position, stand up, and then lift the heels. And just breaking it down like that. Keeping my back straight. Moving those hips down and back. My knees will stay in line with my toes. And my upper body will stay nice and straight. And as I've stood up tall, we had that extra little challenge of lifting heels up. But again, you can really taper the range of this squat. Everyone will be different. That could look very like a small movement here. Down to a further range, should that be comfortable. Again, it's really what feels right for you. Once more. And down. 2 rounds finished. Take a breather. Nice rest again. Give yourself a drink of water. Okay, so 2 rounds finished. 1/3 and final round. Same exercises. Again, just checking in with yourself. Easy, hard. Do I need to slow anything down? Maybe it's just a case of just slowing a couple of the movements. Or performing seated instead of standing. If it feels quite easy and comfortable, then maybe you'll just move with a little bit more intent on the 3rd and final round. What I would say is if it felt quite comfortable, generally 2nd, 3rd round, it does start to feel a little bit tougher. If it's kind of close to where to being tough enough. So 3rd, final round, same again. Just work in your own range with every movement. Working nice and hard, so I might be a little bit out of puff, a little bit of a pant, might be a little bit red or a light sweat, but not completely breathless and unable to talk, and not experiencing any pain or discomfort with anything, but definitely feeling kind of muscular soreness and activation. So, first movement, lateral raise again. So, take hold of your 2 weights. Again, standing, seated. Don't be afraid to make changes. Maybe it's just a case of performing seated on this 3rd round. That's no problem. Hold the 2 weights. Bring nice and upright. And I begin. Lifting out. Lowering back down. Shoulder height. Lower back down. Again, simple change here I can make would be just to drop 1 arm at a time. If you're maybe running out of a little bit of power. Seated, this is still a tough action. It's the same movement and very isolated. Sometimes I like the seated variation just to mix between the two. So standing, seated, you're going to be working really hard with this one. So the easiest adaptation you can make is just to drop to 1 arm at a time. No higher than shoulder level. Breathing out as I raise the weights. Last couple of seconds. tougher on the third round, definitely this one. Trying to keep that control. And back down. Okay, rest the weights down. Next movement, standing leg extension. Again, I'll just turn side on. Again, you might prefer to use the wall. Just once whatever you're using does give you a bit of strong support. So, again, seated just to perform the action, extending the leg, or as I demonstrate here, holding the chair with my left hand, lifting my right knee, extending the leg out, and then just lower back down. Yeah, and typically I find this one, it mightn't look that hard, but it actually is quite tiring and gets tough enough. So the biggest thing I'll say here is just as you come down to take a longer pause if you feel you need it. If you're really running out of steam and power here, just take a longer 1, 2, 3 like that if you need. If it feels okay, like you feel you can handle it, it's comfortable enough, but you're getting a good challenge, and we'll just continue up and then extend. I'll try not to rest for too long if I'm comfortable with that. Again, as I extend that leg, I really think about that thigh active here. Last couple of reps. And rest. Okay, shake the legs out. It's just one of those, I just like to shake the legs out. You'll feel that bit of maybe kind of tension there through the leg after you finish that one. But working it hard and be nice and strong afterwards as well. So working through the left leg now. We'll begin setting up. I hold the chair with my right hand. Nice strong upper body. And we'll begin. Left knee up. Extend the leg and back down, up and extend, and we'll just continue on. And again. I sometimes like to just place the hand on my thigh. I just think it's nice that you can actually feel the muscular activation there as you extend the leg. And that will be the same for seated. If you place your hand there, you should feel that little connection as you extend the leg. Last couple of reps here, I would think. Yeah, I can hear the timer behind me. And down. Okay, shake the legs out. Arm curl. Variations next. Again, your standing, your seated instruction is the same movement. Nothing really changes. So take hold of your 2 weights and let us set up. So holding the weights by my side first. I'm going to lift up towards my shoulders, lower back down, and then twist. So palms forward. Again, just curling up and down from our 2 different angles. Each time in a nice straight line. Again, I'm breathing out as I bring the weights up. Breathing in as I lower the weights down. And every time just changing that hand position. Should show a couple from the side. Just as you're tired, little things like maybe your back will start to arch a bit. So let's keep the upper body strong. But keep the elbows roughly in a fixed position so that they're not moving. And I just curl on that nice straight angle up and down. Switching every time with the hand position. Go once more with each position. and back down. Rest the weight down. Again, our mini squat or squat chair supported here with our heel raises. So again, open up the position, maybe just a little bit wider than hip width, just to give a bit of space to work with. Holding onto the chair, knees soft, upper body straight, and let's begin. Lightly squat down, as far as comfortable. Stand up, lift the heels. Again, simple changes. If this is all too much, a little bit challenging, we might just work through the squat. Maybe you want to just work through the heel raises. That's perfectly fine. And we can do those seated heel raises as an option as well. Keeping the upper body straight, moving through the hips as I go down and back. Set the position and then lift. Very active movement, working the thighs again. And working our calf, back and lower legs as well now with our heel lift. And just a nice active movement, not easy, tough challenge. And say just keeping it hopefully fresh and challenging as well. Just so you have these little challenges, just to work the body a little bit differently. Just to ensure you're getting plenty from the workout. But again, this is just allowing for challenge where it's needed. There's no pressure on you. This could be quite difficult, and there's nothing wrong with stripping a movement like this back a little bit. And rest, okay? So it's a good sign. I'm a little bit out of pants. That's a good sign. Active working, but I can still talk and communicate. So again, first thing before we cool down or anything, just simply rest, catch your breaths, take a drink of water. Okay, so a little breather, rest. Okay. So what we're going to do next is just begin that process of relaxing down and just cooling our bodies down back to a resting level. So we worked very hard there. We did aerobic work, which is just movements tied in with balance, coordination, and then our strength circuit. So very much about putting tension and work. So building strength in the muscle, the bone, our legs, our shoulders, arms. So now we're just going to start cooling down, relaxing down, and I might just, because we have plenty of time, I often didn't have enough time. So I'm just going to do a nice mobility movement for the hips, and then we'll move into our cool down. So I'm just going to adjust the camera just a touch here. And because we have a little bit of time, and this will tie in to our cooling down. Just checking in there. No problem, Maria. The leg extension, I was curious. I didn't want to, my own perception was that leg extension. I have tried it with other groups before and found it's quite difficult. Any level of ability, age, I just find that's a really challenging movement. But I didn't want to bias it beforehand and suggest that it would be, but I certainly found that as well. So you're not alone. I did actually find that one is probably one of the tougher ones we've tried. So that's interesting as well. So with the view that some of the leg work was quite hard, just a nice kind of mobility movement for the hips here. And then we'll move into more kind of standard cooling down exercises. So what I want to do is bring my legs out. Again, sorry to keep adjusting, but I just want to give you the best angle for the movements. So I call these a kind of crab internal, external rotation. The name doesn't really matter. What I want to do is bring my right leg out in a diagonal angle. So I'm on the heel of my foot, holding on to the chair. And I just want to rotate the leg in and then open it out. And what I like to think on this movement is my ankle, my knee, and my hip. They're all moving together. So think if you ask your ankle to move, your knee and hip are going to move as well. If I tell my knee to move in, the ankle and hip, they're all connected. And equally, if I say to my body to move from my hip, to move that leg, everything else follows. So I just think of them as one kind of combining unit here. What we do is rotate the leg in and then slowly open out. If I were to perform this very fast, it might feel a bit tight and a little bit sore. So I perform this action very slow. I'm not even really setting a limit other than to do plenty of repetitions here. And the idea is just to slowly rotate the leg in and slowly open the leg out. And that is called internal external rotation. The name doesn't really matter. It's just moving through different functions of the hip. That's all. I always say a movement like this might feel very tight and stiff as you perform it, but afterwards the hip can then feel really nice and open. So we'll just go once more. And back in. Okay, reset. Bring your left leg out in that diagonal range. So I'm on the heel and I've kind of nice soft bent knee here. I begin by rotating the leg in as far as comfortable and then slowly opening the leg out. So you're not moving through huge ranges here. It's quite a limited range. We would expect that. I'd be really more surprised if we could move through huge ranges here. We'd really just expect a small range of movement and keep it slow. As I said, if I go very sharp and fast, this will just feel a bit uncomfortable on the hip. So go nice and slow. Now, I talked about the 3 parts being connected: ankle, knee, hip. But really your hip, think of that as the power base here. This is where we are looking to really connect with. As I transition between rotating the leg in as far as I can and rotating out without any other part of the body helping out. I'm just going to go one more time. And back in, or back out, and rest, okay? So that's just a nice mobility movement through the hips. As I said, it can feel a bit challenging as you perform it, but afterwards you might feel that the hips actually feel opened up a little bit, if that is an area of tightness, stiffness. So I'm going to move into just some regular kind of stretches and a couple of light movements. We'll just stay in this seated position since I have us in this position. Simple movement to begin with, just to bring your right leg out. And I want you to pull the toes back towards yourself, stretching out the back of that lower leg. If you find like that, maybe a hip movement, or you'd like maybe a little bit of mobility at the end, I can add that in. It's no problem. It really depends on just giving you time. I've often thought about it, but just with the time, it kind of runs out. Relax the toes forward. Pull the toes back. You might see there's a little shape, stretch. Again, just relax the toes forward, and then once more pull the toes back. Stretching out the back of that lower leg. Rest down. Left leg out, just pulling the toes back towards yourself, holding that stretch. And then just relax forwards. Pull the toes back. And relax forward. One more time. Toes coming back. Stretch now, back of that lower leg. And then relax the toes forward. And back down. Staying in your seated position. Just to bring your right knee up. Just going to lightly hold on to that knee. And then gently raise that knee up as high as comfortable towards chest. So my back is lovely and straight here. Might feel our hip after all the work, and our glute here as well. Might feel those positions. Just going to hold. And back down. Reset. I'm just going to work through that right leg again. Knee up. Lightly hold. And gently raise the knee up towards chest. Holding the position. And back down. Just swap sides. Just adjust. Make sure you feel comfortable. Left knee up. Lightly holding your knee. And just raising that knee up towards chest or as high as comfortable. Again, my back is nice and straight. You might feel your glute and you might feel the hip. There's different things we might feel with this one. And back down. Reset. Left leg again. Knee up. Lightly hold on. And just raising that knee up towards your chest. And back down. Okay, so I'll move up the body a little bit. Let's turn back to the camera here. If I open my arms, so my palms are faced forward, and I'll pull back, just opening out that chest in this position. It's going to stay here for a couple of seconds. Chest lovely and open here. And back down, reset. Arms by side, hands forward, pull back, opening out your chest. And once more, reset. Arms by sides, hands forward, pull back. And back down. Okay. Stretch of the back next, just since we are in this seated position, just trying a couple of different stretches today. I'd like to lift my right elbow up here and rotate my elbow and arm towards the back of the chair, or as far as you can. If you can't reach or achieve this position, that's no problem. Just rotate the body as far as comfortable. My head is rotated with the body, and I hold position. Return back to the center. Left elbow is up, and rotate my elbow and arm to a point where it's then resting on the back of my chair. I'm getting a lovely, nice stretch through my back, and I just hold the position. Return back to center, right elbow up. Again, just rotate or lead the way with your elbow towards the back of the chair, rotating your body, getting a nice stretch through your back. And then again, return to center, left elbow, rotate towards back of the chair. Again, now it's resting on the back of my chair, and I just hold my position. And just return, and I go one last time, right elbow, and I just find by maybe the third time I can get a little bit further. Maybe the first stretch felt a little bit tight. Now it's just opened out a little bit and I can get a bit further. And then once more, left side. Again, just holding that position. And back in. Perfect. So I'll just take one more stretch where I will just bring arms across chest, pull back nice and wide, and just a hold position. Maybe a little squeeze through the shoulder blades, nice open position of the chest. And just relax back in. Pull back open, nice and wide. A nice wide shape with the arms, squeezing shoulder blades together. And then relax, and then one more time. Pull back, open out, nice and wide. A really nice open position. And rest. Okay, I'll find it then. Just going to take a nice breath in through the nose. Nice slow exhale. And again. And once more. And rest. Okay, that concludes our session today. Again, just keep an eye on our social media channels, just in case the session were to ever change to a Zoom format or anything. But all going well. Same again, Wednesday, 10 o'clock. And brilliant work. We did a lot of strength work there. Pretty tough on the legs, as we probably found out. Arms, shoulders, and then our aerobic work. Again, quite dynamic work and a little bit of balance and coordination in there. So have a good rest after that. Any questions, issues, and thanks for the feedback there, Mary, as well. Always good to just get that sense of something that's easy, hard, or just in and around. Hopefully on the side of challenging rather than too easy. So take care and enjoy the rest of your week.